Hi guys and welcome back to GamerTech, where this week we'll be unboxing Apple's 12-inch MacBook in the space grey finish. This is the mid-2017 model, which is the second iteration from the original model in this line of MacBooks first released back in 2015. This particular model is the base configuration, which includes a 1.2 GHz dual-core Intel M3 processor, which can, as Apple describes it, turbo boost up to 3 GHz during high processor demanding tasks. Additionally, we can expect up to 20% faster performance and up to 50% faster SSD storage. We also have 8GB of RAM and 256GB of SSD storage, which for use in everyday tasks will be absolutely plenty. But those of you looking for a little bit more power may however wish to upgrade those specifications. You can double the RAM to 16 and the internal storage to 512GB, which I definitely consider if you plan to use this MacBook for high power consuming tasks. But I'd actually recommend checking out a different computer like the MacBook Pro if that is the case. And of course, if you do choose to upgrade your MacBook through Apple, then things are going to start getting a little bit pricey. Even this baseline configuration will set you back £1,249. So without further ado, let's get this unboxed and see if Apple's 2017 MacBook can justify that heavy price tag. So after removing the plastic film, this is how the box looks, and you can see the typically simple and clean look we can expect from Apple. On the front of the box we have a front-facing view of the MacBook, which shows off the incredibly thin body design, and the Apple and MacBook logos flank the sides of the box. So to get into the box we just have to slide off the box lid and we are greeted with the MacBook itself. What immediately caught my attention was just how incredibly small and light this computer really is. And if you're changing from a larger screen laptop, then you're definitely going to notice this. For Apple to pack in so much power to such a small device is no mean feat. But turning our attention to the accessories, we have at the bottom here the USB-C charging cable. Of course, MacBook has just the one USB-C port, and this is used for charging the device as well. And at the top we have this envelope, which is going to house all of the paper information. So we have the quick start guide, and as always I'd highly recommend reading this for new users. We also have a set of Apple stickers, which are colour matched to the finish of your MacBook. And finally the warranty and safety information. Underneath you'll find the detachable wall plug, and of course I have here the UK version. So we no longer have bundled the extension cable, which is a shame, but if you have one of those from any previous MacBook models then this will still be compatible with the final accessory, the power adapter. This adapter is a 29-watt USB-C power adapter, and the best thing about this is, since you can detach the charging cable, you are able to swap this out with a USB-C to Lightning cable and use this adapter to fast charge your iPhone 8, 8 Plus or 10. So bringing the MacBook back into frame here, and we can go ahead and take off this protective film, using the tab at the bottom here to get our first proper look at the space grey design. And you can see the aluminium finish is offset by that really glossy Apple logo in the centre. So gone are the days of the glowing Apple logo, which projected the light from the screen through the rear of the display, and we now have the reflective logo instead. Now this is of course a consequence of having a much thinner display, and whilst I do think that the glowing Apple logos looked great, I also like the idea that I'm not going to be disturbing others or drawing as much attention to myself when using this in public or a low light environment such as nighttime. I can't say I really spent too much time looking at the rear of my display anyway, so I'm perfectly happy with this change. Looking at the rear hinge, you may also notice that we have a colour matching unibody design, and no longer have the black plastic antenna hinge, something which Apple have been phasing out across all of their devices. I also think that the space grey finish, as well as MacBook's other available gold and rose gold finishes, are a really welcome new addition, as previous MacBook users from any series were stuck with silver as the only option. Picking up the device, it's impossible not to notice how incredibly small and light this MacBook is, weighing in at just over 0.92 kilograms, or just over 2 pounds if you're watching this from the States. On the left side we have the single USB-C port, whilst the other features the 3.5mm headphone jack and the dual microphones. And the final thing we have to do here is to lift the display, and you'll see that your MacBook will automatically begin to power up. So after removing the protective cover from the screen, you can follow the startup tutorial to get your MacBook set up and running. Taking a look at the hardware features, the USB-C port is now able to support up to 4096 by 2304 resolution at 60Hz on an external display. This is an increase from 3804 by 2160 from the 2016 model. This port is a USB 3.1 Generation 1 port, capable of transfer speeds up to 5 GB per second. A very fast data transfer port and a significant upgrade over a standard USB Type-A port. Unfortunately, however, we are still stuck with just one USB port for the device, so the need to purchase an adapter or dongle is almost a necessity. This is a real shame, and I think that this was probably one of the most desirable changes that could have been brought to the MacBook. On the opposite side, as I mentioned, are the 3.5mm headphone jack and the dual microphones, which remain unchanged from last year's model. There has been some significant changes to the keyboard, as we now have the second generation butterfly mechanism, which is personally my favourite keyboard that I've used on any MacBook. We have a really shallow travel, so we're still able to move really quickly across the keyboard, but the clicking mechanism has been noticeably improved from the previous generation. MacBook's keyboard has always been one of my favourite design features, ever since the more space-efficient layout was introduced and we moved towards individually lit keys, dramatically reducing light leakage. We also have some minor changes to the keyboard's iconography. For example, you can now see we have a symbol to accompany the Control key, and the Option key replaces the Alt key. At the top of the keyboard we have these stereo speakers, which are potentially the single most impressive feature of the MacBook. These speakers are able to reach surprisingly high volume levels without distorting the sound, and this is made all the more impressive when you consider how thin and light this MacBook is. Carried over from the previous generation is the beautiful 12-inch IPS Retina display. This comes with a 2304 by 1440 resolution at 226 pixels per inch and a 16:10 aspect ratio. At the top and centre of the screen remains the 480p FaceTime camera. For me, this was one of the major points to address, and it's disappointing to see that even with this third generation MacBook, we still have such a low resolution camera. At the bottom of the keyboard is the large Force Touch trackpad, which does feature the same palm rejection software as with the new MacBook Pros, and I found this to work very effectively. The 41.4 watt-hour battery is good for an impressive 10 hours of wireless web, and battery life has certainly always been a strength of any of Apple's MacBooks. And a change you can't see from the surface is the introduction of Bluetooth 4.2, upgraded from 4.0 in last year's models, which introduces some improvements to connectivity and efficiency. After using this MacBook for a number of weeks, I have to say that I've been extremely impressed. The power of this computer can easily be underestimated, with only the most demanding tasks, such as video editing, stretching just beyond the capabilities of this device. I have noticed that applications were opening ever so slightly faster compared to last year's model, a benefit of the improved 1.2 GHz processor over the previous 1.1 GHz processor. Amazingly, this MacBook operates virtually silently due to the fanless architecture surrounding the processor. Apple's MacBooks have generally always been quiet machines to operate, but this MacBook impressed me in its ability to function inaudibly without overheating. Typing on the new keyboard is a breeze, and the Retina display shows off your content with brilliant brightness and vivid colours. Having such a lightweight and portable computer was incredibly convenient, and I found myself far less likely to go reaching for my tablet. The one major drawback plaguing the MacBook, however, has still not been addressed, and that is the single USB-C port. It has taken a fair amount of time to get used to this, and I found myself reaching around to plug in my USB-A devices on more than one occasion. Having to buy an adapter is an additional expense, and for those of you relying on using external storage devices, it may mean that your MacBook is not usable without first purchasing one. One workaround that I found useful was the purchase of a USB-C to micro-B cable, allowing me to plug directly into my external hard drive. Alternatively, there are a number of USB adapter hubs available. As we move towards a more wireless world, this will become less and less of a problem, and I generally found that I didn't need to have my devices plugged in and were therefore able to bypass this problem. For use in everyday tasks, this computer performs excellently and would definitely be my computer of choice. And if you're able to overcome the annoyance of having just a single USB port, then the lightweight and extremely portable MacBook can offer an extremely pleasant user experience. And that's just about it for this video. If you found the video helpful, then please give it a like, comment any questions or suggestions you may have, and please check out any of the related videos on the channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything else from GamerTech.